you doing? This is Mike for Mike's Random Thoughts. And once again, I'm here with Jeff, who is from Queens, New York, right? Queensbridge Projects.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that naturally is because he is from the projects, because of the conversation that my show gets and just different things like that. So, anyways, so the reason why I asked you back basically is a lot of different things have happened since the last time you come out here. Like last time we primarily talked about, I believe Trump was still president, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
The last time you were on the show? Yeah. Okay, so now Trump isn't president and we have Biden in the office. And last time we did talk about Black Lives Matter, and I wanted to talk about him one last time, because I got to find out your opinion on like the founders. We're talking like the high-ranking people in Atlanta, Patrice herself, one of the founders, getting caught up, and there's other ones too, which you know about because we've talked about it. But getting caught up on different charges of embezzlement and misuse of the funds and money. So I got to ask how you feel about that. Because, you know, I've gotten comments, I'll be honest, I've gotten typical comments from all different types of people. I've gotten comments from perceptives, people saying that I just don't get it, which I do feel I do get it because of what we talked about last time. I told you that's what was going to happen last time that you were here. Remember when I said that when it all comes out, it's going to be misuse of money and things like that, right? So how do you feel?
Yeah, well, this is how I feel about it. We have chapters not even getting money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just spending money. Man, embezzlement of the funds. All that money used to buy your houses and everything. Since it came from her book deals and stuff, I don't believe it.
Right? And I mean, and that's what I'm saying. And now, since she stepped down, her first statement was that she is focused now that the organization, remember last time there was no organization. There was no organization. It was just an idea, remember? But once she comes out, I'm retiring, she says, the organization has the backbones, and now I can focus on other things I want to do, like movies and book deals. And I'm like, so what are you saying? Like everything everybody said was right?
Yeah.
Right?
Movies and book deals. There you go.
Right. Okay, so now we have, like I said before, we have Biden in power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be honest, to me, it does appear to be a Marxist-driven agenda, especially because I just got wind. I don't know if you've heard this on, because I know you listen to talk radio. But I guess Obama came out, and I'm going to post an article about it in a little bit, but came out and said, Biden has successfully continued my administration. You know what I mean? Which I feel it is like, and I did say that. Once he got into power, he basically took it to the Obama era politics and then just caved to everybody else's, like Harris, AOC, the Squad, Pelosi's ridiculous demands. I don't know if you feel the same, but that's what I feel like. They're just basically caving to every which way, including terrorist sympathizer countries. I'm talking Iran. I'm talking Iraq. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was going to ask you about that as well. The whole Israel and Pakistan conflict. How do you feel that? Do you feel Biden actually handled that situation appropriately as a commander-in-chief?
Well, as you know, Israel and the Palestinians have been fighting for like what, decades, thousands of years. It's like what, two brothers fighting.
Right.
Nothing's ever gonna change.
You got to speak up a little bit, probably.
Okay. Nothing's ever gonna change between the Israelis and Palestinians ever.
Mm-hmm.
You may have peace for a while, then they go to war, peace, and then war. I mean, there's so much, anybody can actually do over there.
And that's the thing. It's a war that a lot of people is not understanding. And I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this. historically speaking, it's actually a spiritual war that's been going on for decades. I mean, we're talking since biblical time period. And now you have that mixed in with modern politics. And the whole thing was over a land dispute over four houses?
Yeah.
It was 4 houses is how this whole thing got skyrocketed out of control. You got different political movements that just leaped on it. And you had the Hollywood elite just all of a sudden rooting for a people. Hamas basically took over that building. And like I said in my last episode, they took over that building and held the people hostage in that country, knowing full well what could happen. I mean, don't you agree with that?
Yeah.
And that's why I feel that as far as the commander-in-chief goes, he handled that conflict really poorly. And I've heard speculation that Harris most likely is being prepped by the CIA to get whim of power in as early, they're saying as early as August. But then again, these are loose sources, nothing official. I mean, have you heard anything on talk radio?
No.
And see, that's what I'm saying, people, is you gotta see different sources. And that's why I don't want to say officially. It's speculation right now that that's what's going on. But I mean, honestly, let's look at the facts. I mean, if you look at how he handled that conflict, you look at him falling down the stairs. I mean, Trump just now appeared last night and really just handed it to Biden. The way his mental state is, the way his physical appearance is, you know what I mean? And all of that. And he was dead on right. I mean, don't you feel the same way?
Yeah.
He's not coherent. He's falling apart. His eyes being sunk in, that's a sign of something that happens to people in their elderly age. So he's very easily manipulated right now. I mean, I can honestly say that. As far as Harris being groomed in, during the opening, remember during the opening speech, whenever they said that Harris said Biden already made an agreement with me that if anything should happen to him to where he can't fulfill his duties, he will just willingly step down from power and let me gain power. Am I right?
You're right.
And if you notice, the reason why I'm asking that is Jeffrey here is an adamant talk radio listener. He is a huge sports fan, but he is an adamant talk radio listener as well. So whenever I find sources, it's normally, I use some of the same sources he's going to find, but as he knows, I also use a lot of other sources as well. So there's some things that I'll find out about that become on talk radio, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, something like that, depending. Normally.
Yeah.
So my whole situation with that is, so what? It's already been decided that's what's going to happen from the beginning. So to me, that's almost like a distraction tactic to make people upset and mad. You get what I'm saying? To make the conservative base like a little bit heated and maybe distracted or something. But I mean, and they shouldn't, because they basically said that's what's going to happen in the beginning anyways. It's just happening a little bit. If that is what's going to happen, it would end up happening, months prior to what people thought. I would assume, logically. But, and the other thing is the hatred towards the police. Like lately, the latest video, that guy with the dreads, right, that had the pistol, had 20 or 30 cops behind him, smoking a blunt, live streaming, right? And we're going to talk about that too. Live streaming, right? Talking about how there's no more peace. He's done with peace. He's going to go and he's just going to take it. I mean, am I right?
I seen the clip of the video.
So did I. But is that what you saw? Because that's what I saw. You know what I mean? And to me, okay, I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you. I mean, you grew up in the projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in Northern California, I was known to live in a certain areas, quote unquote, hood neighborhoods, right? I mean, lower income apartments, whatever, you know? So I'm gonna be frank with you, man. From Jump Street, I felt like this is a easy come up if you're from the hood. If you're from the hood, if you're a criminal, this is come up time. I mean, they just feel like you can do whatever you want and just scream this or that. I mean, don't you? It shouldn't be, but I mean, based on videos like that, and
now, yes, beforehand, no.
Right. But you remember last time you were here, I did say that the movement had potential for for good things to happen, but the people that's running it were running it bad. And is that not what we saw with the people coming out with fraud and all that?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? It needs better leadership. The idea behind it, and a different name, because from Jump Street, the name is controversial. And I get it. Everybody wants to be radical and more extreme, but you're separating yourself immediately. You're not just separating yourself from Caucasians with a name like that. You're separating yourself from every nationality with a name like that. So if I'm promoting something, if I'm a business and I'm marketing something, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So me and you both, we've worked in fast food industry and restaurants and jobs like that for a long time, right? So we know how new products work. If they're coming out with a new slogan, right? You want it to be kind of controversial, hard-hitting. Not controversial, but in this aspect controversial, but you want it to be hard-hitting and you want it to sell to people, right? So why would you pick something that doesn't only just separate you from white people, it also separates you from all the other minorities around your same neighborhood? So to me, it was doomed for failure from Jump Street. And the fact that you have hybrids now of it, such as Asian, which is ridiculous in itself because all lives do matter. I'm sorry. And I thought we learned that this time around. You get what I'm saying? And please do not misinterpret because I seen you laugh. I don't mean for anybody to take what I'm saying out of context. What I'm saying is everybody's lives matter. I've always said all lives matter. I'm going to stand by that forever. You know what I mean? Because I see division. When you create division with names such as ethnicity / lives matter, basically what you're saying is your lives matter and everybody else's don't. So it's okay for this. So what happens when at some point they get what they want with such and quote race, right? And now it's just this race and this race. And these issues are still there because these are issues that are plaguing the community, lower income areas. You get what I'm saying? And like I've said often, and I don't think I've said this on my show, and if I have, it's only been once. I myself, back in the day, whenever I was pulled over in a neighborhood and I ran my mouth, I had handcuff marks on my mouth, or not on my, running my mouth, sorry. I had handcuff marks around my wrist for like 3 or 4 days. I had my head slammed into the side of a cruiser. You know what I mean? When I learned to quit running my fucking mouth, that changed though. Do you get what I'm saying? And that was just the way it was. I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. And I'm not trying to say nobody's lives don't matter. And that's the problem, is I feel like it's so easy for people to misinterpret what somebody is saying. When you say something like all lives matter, you would think that would be a peaceful thing and a unity, because like I just said, these are issues that plague the urban community. And when I say that, it's not just one race in these projects. Was it just African Americans in Queensbridge projects when you were little?
For a long time.
Huh? For a long time?
Yep. And
that was when?
Yeah, early 80s.
Early 80s, okay.
It just grew on from there, like say the 90s it came.
But at that time period though, was there not migration waves of different minorities in the 90s, right? Yeah, there was.
But not really.
Vietnamese, Cambodian.
The Asians live, Flushing, Queens, and have, the projects there as Asians.
Right.
If you're talking about Queensbridge specifically, majority black, you had a few white people there, but not like it was in the 40s, 50s.
Mm-hmm.
The 40s, 50s, and 60s, maybe. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and honestly, like today at church, I'm gonna be honest, and me and Jeff, we go to the same church. The pastor was talking about race issues, and how as Christians we do need to accept certain things, right? And I do get that. You get what I'm saying? What I'm struggling with though is the separation issue, because like I just said, everybody, and I understand what you just said, right? Mm-hmm. That was in the 80s and the 90s and the height of the crack epidemic, right? And sadly, in lower income neighborhoods were divided like that. But guess who designed them? The Democratic Party, normally controlled lower income areas. Am I right? I'm sure when I was growing up, and I'm sure when you were growing up, you've seen a lot of Democratic ads in those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's who controlled those neighborhoods. And what they planted in those neighborhoods were Planned Parenthood, right? And they brought all these so-called programs that really got you nowhere except for like reversal back to the same neighborhood. You got stuck in the system.
Well, yes and no.
How do you say? You said yes and no.
Like, it was just different. You say Democrats were now than what they were before. They started opening up a whole bunch of programs. They did.
They did.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Democratic Socialist program?
No.
Huh?
No socialist.
Not socialist?
No. Remember talking about back in the 90s?
Yeah. Okay, you're talking about the beginning of it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
When Republicans and Democrats can actually, get along.
We're actually trying to give a damn about the people.
That's what I'm saying. It's different now than it was,
Right, because now it's like they just want to separate. Like, everybody's into the division. You get what I'm saying? Like, when they should be focused on is community outreach in the programs. And that was something in the 90s. For me, it was the 90s. For you, it was the 80s. For me, it was...
80s, 90s is the same thing.
Yeah, but it was like exactly what you just said, the same thing. It was just a ladder of it, you know what I mean? But there was a lot more community outreach focus. Like, you had DARE programs, you had church programs, community outreach, you had neighborhood block barbecues. I mean, granted, if it was done safely in certain areas, they tried anyways.
But
they had food giveaways.
I'm going to tell you this. The reason why Republicans get such a bad rap is you look at the South Bronx, how it was in the 70s and 80s, all these blocks of burnt out buildings from fires. You know what I'm saying, like that. But when, I'm not trying to say, they didn't care, but when Bill Clinton came along, things really started to change with his Commerce Secretary. Was it Ron Brown?
I can't recall. That was like...
It's Ron Brown. He died in a plane crash.
Yeah.
Things started like to change.
I do.
And stuff. But
I
remember,
do
New York City was you had Ed Koch there. Nothing really much got done. It got done, but not as much.
Well, you being from New York City, that brings me to another thing.
It was mostly, actually, it was all basically Republican mayors. And had David Dinkins. It was actually Republicans.
It was Republicans.
Yeah, like more Republicans then, and then you had Rudy Giuliani, and then Michael Bloomberg. And, yeah, we know what else happened after that. Yeah, but mostly it was majority Republican.
Okay, so what about, you said in the 80s and 90s in New York, right? That was around the time period because, see, when Clinton became president, right? Remember when Hillary was the health czar in New York and she almost bankrupted the state of New York with the predecessor of the Obamacare?
Yeah.
See, earlier today, somebody I know, I'm not going to say no names, commented on something and said Obama didn't do anything wrong. And, me and you have bumped heads about Obama before. You know what I mean? With my feelings about him, because I have very strong feelings about him. And it's nothing to do with his nationality as much as it is to do with him being a Marxist and socialist driven, which this administration is closely mirroring with what he wanted to do. See, Obama started a lot of the hatred towards the law enforcement, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
It's always been there. Like I told you before, it goes back just to the slavery times. When we have slave catchers.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but I mean, like, here's my thing though, bro. Like, history's fucked up, right? And we both know that every nationality in America, and I just said this to somebody online today, every nationality in America at some point has experienced some form, and I know how horrific slavery was. I do. But every nationality has had some type of blood spilt in some type of racist way on American soil almost. You had the Germans locked up and the Japanese.
I understand you had the Germans locked up, but if you go back to the black roots, it's that. You understand distrust.
But how come, and I know you do because we talked about this. I know you do. And Jeff understands this because me and him have talked about it. That's why I'm being so Like, I'm known, and I'm known for this because because he watches my show, but I'm known to be a little bit more hyphy.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, me and him have talked about this before. This is the second time on the show. So, but how come nobody owns up to the fact that, one, the people were sold by other people to the people, historically speaking, in the first place, right? Rival tribes. And how come nobody talks about this day how in Cape Town they're still selling people? You know what I mean? Rival tribes, rival drug dealers, human trafficking. I haven't heard BLM, Joe Biden, I haven't heard AOC, any of them speak about any of those issues. In fact, not even that long ago, when those Christian girls were executed outside of Nigeria, I didn't hear them say nothing about it until the second incident, whenever the school thing happened. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and even still at that, I've had confrontations with people, and this is where I draw the line at. I want my people, if you're still with me, we're 21 minutes in, and I know it's been a rocky start. However, I've had conversations with different people, and it seems to me that it seems to be a certain type of mentality, not race. That's the extreme greasy will that you're hearing. Like you said, in the movement, not every single person is out there looting, destroying things, you know what I mean? And all that. I realize that, right? But those are the ones that you're hearing the most, you know what I mean? And I'm going to be honest with you, it's getting downright militant now. When you look at the footage, Antifa is still going, doing psycho stuff. Just yesterday, they were in Sacramento, California, causing conflict in front of an issue over the same person we were just talking about with the gun that got pulled over, calling him a hero. You get what I'm saying? So these issues are still going on, but nobody's addressing the actual issues. Like, I haven't heard BLM say anything. And when I brought it up to certain people that seem to be pro BLM, you know what I mean? And I said, how come you guys won't talk about the human trafficking going on today in Africa by other Africans? You know what I mean? And guess what? 2 white people that are wealthy and Middle Eastern people that are wealthy. You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to talk about that. When I say, how come they don't want to talk about the amount of children that are pimped in lower income neighborhoods and then later tricked off to the point to where they're just sent off to a strip club, normally from a homeboy's buddy or something? Because we all know how the game's really played. You know what I mean? They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about how if Planned Parenthood wasn't actually placed in those lower income neighborhoods, African Americans would actually have the majority population of the United States today. And Democrats are the ones that fund Planned Parenthood. So they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about how Bill Gates in the 1990s said that he actually wants to, the only way to save the human population is to kill off half of the world's population. And the best way to do that is through a virus. They don't want to talk about that. You know what I mean? They don't want to talk about how in the 90s, like we were talking about, they had a huge education push, especially in the rap industry, called Save the Music. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Tupac was part of it. Biggie was part of it. In fact, they even did a album together called Stop the Shooting with, I'm trying to remember the dude from Houston, T something. But, you know what I mean? They did an album about it. And there was a lot of anti-gang reach. There was a lot of, like I was just saying earlier, there was a lot of community cook-offs. There was a lot of community outreach. There was a lot more focus on drugs. There was a whole lot more focus on fixing the problems, right? And in the education system, they wanted to, they were educating people with chess. Chess competitions were big in lower income neighborhoods, and music programs were big in lower income neighborhoods. And yeah, they did push the academics too. You know what I mean? On sports and stuff like that. But my point is, there was a lot more community outreach back then on the focus of it. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't about race. It's about how do we focus on the urban neighborhood to fix it as a whole. You get what I'm saying? And by stating that, you weren't stating one race. You were stating everybody that lived in that neighborhood. So it would just be common sense. Everybody that lived in that neighborhood should be able to take advantage of the programs. And were they perfect? Hell no. Are they perfect? No. Nope. I know what it's like to be on Broadway on C Street in Sacramento, Broadway and C. I think if memory serves me right, in where the free clinic is in Sacramento. And whenever you go out there for an illness and they open up that door or they open up that window, what's up? And they just hand you that paperwork and slam it shut real quick. And the doctor comes in and reads you off something, and does he even tell you what the ailments really are? Basically, he kind of does, but really he just pushes you off to the pharmacy to go give you some drugs. Do you get what I'm saying? The reason why I'm saying that is because it seems to me like they're really eager to push it on the drugs, but when I bring it up to BLM supporters, right? All of that. You know what they say to me? Well, that ain't got nothing to do with me. And that's all they can say. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Those people over in Africa don't got nothing to do with me. They ain't got nothing to do with us over here. But I thought it was about Black Lives Matter. Should it be Black American Lives Matter then? Now, do you get where I'm going with this? Anybody can paint division around anything. That's why all lives matter is something I stand by. All lives matter means unity. It means peace. Am I saying that issues are perfect? No. You know what I mean? They're not. But they're never going to get fixed with fighting and bickering constantly. And you know what I'm saying? It's too easy for the confusion. And do I fall victim to it? Yeah, I do. You know what I mean? Online, I get trolls and shit. Sometimes I comment to them, and sometimes I don't. Because I'm interested in what some of them have to say. But it's all the same argument. They're always the same argument that everybody always hears, but nobody ever wants to offer any solution to the problems because nobody wants to work together. Do you get what I'm saying? And now we got even bigger issues coming up because now you have this audit coming off the presidential. How do you feel about that?
We'll see what happens.
Now, you got to understand, I don't think that Trump is going to get reinstated. Let me end that right now. There's a lot of people out there saying, hey, you know Trump's going to get reinstated in August. No, I don't think he's going to get reinstated in August. 2 reasons. Here's why. I think if he got reinstated in August, there would be such a civil backlash, they would have to call in the United Nations troops. Do you get what I'm saying? I really do. Saying that, do I think that he wants to run in 2024? I do. Do I think he's going to be able to pull it off? No, I don't. And the reason why I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off is I think the Democrats are going to try to wait till that very last minute, and they're going to try to hold him in the court with the felony case because then he can't run for presidency. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's the reason why you're hearing these insiders come out. You know the ones I'm talking about that said that, oh, what are you doing? Oh, we got all the law experts in New York right now just digging away on every single thing that we can on Donald J. Trump. That's not legal. That's not proper law. Proper law isn't that you go into somebody's office and you go into their whole life and you dig and pry into every little nook and cranny of their life to find something wrong. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we both know how that works. So say if that's how that works. So then that means if I'm running for office, right, and I don't like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, let me dig in every single aspect of their life and try to hold them in the court whenever they're trying to do something. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, what's right is what's right, right? Mm-hmm. If that's how we're looking at it, right? Now do you see what I'm saying? By with division, you're never going to get anywhere. And you're only going to get failure with it. You get what I'm saying? Honestly, I think our society is to the point to where I think it's going to take another 9/11 to pull people back together. You know what I mean? Isn't that sad? Do you get what I'm going with? Mm-hmm. I think there's enough stuff that's come out. Okay, now, like, granted, if you don't like Trump, you don't like Trump. And if you like Trump, you like Trump. Okay, but I think that there is enough evidence that have come out to say the Democrats definitely did something kind of shifty here. You know what I mean? Is it anything worse than what other politicians have done throughout history? Maybe not. Maybe so. Do you get where I'm going with this? My point is this: if we're ever going to get past this, Republicans, the only way, if you vote Republican, the only way you're going to get past this is 2022. You go into your state elections and you actually vote on the issues, and you vote for the Republican candidates that you choose. And be mindful, because we all know there's been a lot of rhinos in the mist. Even with the younger ones, a lot of flip-flopping. So you got to watch in your local elections when I say that. But if you really want to be real about how to fix this, how did Obama and Biden say to fight? They both did the same quote.
I'm trying to remember the quote. So many. Quote I do not remember.
Biden and Obama said, we don't fight with our fist, we fight with the pen. Obama was famous for saying, I could fight any battle I want with a piece of paper and a pen. The only way you're going to defeat these people is to play at their game just as smart as they did. I'm not kidding. You know what I mean? And saying that, as a Christian, I'm going to throw out this because I'm 31 minutes in. As a Christian, I say vote on the issues, because there's been a lot of flip-flopping on issues going on. You know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of those younger cats that seem to be that seem to be kind of, you know what I mean? Should I go this way or should I go that way? So 2022, you need to do this. And the reason why I say this is, if they do this, right, and they create a massive red wave in 2022, that's going to make it easier in 2024. See what Trump is really doing? You guys don't, this is what I think Trump is doing. And tell me if you think I'm right. Trump wants to be able to run, but knows they're going to do everything they can to stop him. He also knows he can't say it right now due to the election process, however that goes. But anyways, but Trump has been promoting people left and right since he left office. Am I wrong or right? A lot of people. Do you think he's doing that for any other reason other than making sure he can create a red wave?
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the red wave. Huh?
I know you did. Surprise everybody. Yeah, me and Jeff over here, we don't naturally vote the same on everything. And that's what this isn't that what America's about?
Yep.
See how we didn't agree on everything that we talked about, right? But we didn't come to blows about it either, though.
Trump was good for the economy, that's for sure, and the COVID, but that's what COVID law, basically COVID law, based COVID. Yeah, that's why Trump lost, basically. Think about it that way.
Yeah, true. I mean, but do you think...
I don't think it was for COVID, I think he would have won.
Do you think COVID was designed in the lab?
Yes.
See, I do too. Do you think...
China.
Do you think... Right? Exactly. Do you think that... Now, hold up. I'm going to put a disclaimer. Do not go out and do anything stupid towards the Asian people. Okay? I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Cool.
But anyways, how is it that you could develop this freaking chemical weapon, right? And I'm going to bring up a really good point in two ways. Mm-hmm. They developed this weapon in the lab, right? Bill Gates Foundation helped fund the freaking funding for this fucking project in the lab in the first place. That was all who's who and hush hush. You remember? Like that fancy building and stuff? Yeah, his little company is behind that somewhere, you know? So, all of a sudden this thing gets out. I think it's chemical warfare agents that they were actually developing personally. Now, I think the top Democrats knew about this ahead of time. You know what I mean? And I think that was part of their plan to bring down Trump. I really do.
I don't...
because
no.
they didn't. Listen to it. I'm not saying that they necessarily let it happen. What I'm saying is, like, somehow they knew because Bill Gates is one of the top funders for the Democratic Party, and these people talk. Like, when you're around rich people, I go like, you know, I used to, like, at a job, right? I was in a kitchen, and I used to go to rich people's houses. Yeah. Remember, probably, I'm not going to say where, but the kitchen job.
Oh, yeah, that job, yeah.
Yeah. Where I used to go to the catering gig. So, anyways, rich people have a habit of helping each other out. I mean, but granted, everybody helps out each other if they can. You know what I'm saying? If you know something's going to work, you're supposed to let me know if it's supposed to work. If you know, hey, man, I think you can get an edge on this, bro, you're supposed to be a bro and let me know. You know what I'm saying? That's how you're supposed to be. Rich people ain't no different, only their money's a little bit different. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I'm not necessarily saying they 100% knew about anything, but I'm definitely saying if they did, and if they had any speculation about it, they damn sure weren't going to say anything, because they knew it could help bring them down. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So I know there's a lot of crazy theories out there that I'm not going to go into about that, but I find it interesting that since the fear of COVID is going down, including with the mask, right? Fucking dry mouth. Anyways, including with the mask, they got that new hyper version of the bird flu.
Oh, yeah.
The reamp of the bird flu, only this one can be transferable by touching somebody. You get what I'm saying? Isn't that kind of convenient? You get what I'm saying? Right around state election time, there's another bird flu. Woo! And right around the time the Fauci emails came out, too. What was it, 3 days before then? That's when the bird flu hit? I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay. So how is it that, once again, we got state elections coming through and there's a bird flu? Isn't it kind of convenient that every time there's an election, there's some kind of disease?
Yeah.
You know?
Basically.
I've seen a lot in my lifetime, haven't you? I'm just saying, guys.
Yeah, a couple we have though. Work flu.
Right. I mean, and again, I'm going to go back to our faith for a second, because saying the COVID thing, during COVID, a lot of people asked me, and even recently have asked me, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with, like, the stress, and how are you so confident? And a lot of it, I feel like, really does, whether it's a placebo effect, no matter what it is, because they said a lot of people got it and didn't even know they had it. You know what I mean? Keep that in mind. So I had a lot of faith that I wouldn't get it. I also had a lot of faith that masks wouldn't work, which turns out they didn't work. I also had a lot of faith that our immune system would work, which turns out it does work.
Some people were. Some people's immune systems.
Well, some people's immune systems were compromised, but I said that, you remember from Jump Street, I actually said whenever, I know it's starting to rain, everybody, so I don't know how much longer we can do this, but you remember at the beginning when I said that people had compromised immune systems, such as diabetes or health problems or overweight or different, should wear a mask, should take precaution. I said that numerous times on my show, but yeah, people couldn't figure that out. You know what I'm saying? But everything I said was actually turned out to be fact, and I'm not going to sit here and do that because I'm not going to be, like, gloat about it. I'm just saying, keep that in mind the next time that this next so-called disease comes out. You know what I'm saying? I think we touched bases on a lot of the new issues that's coming on. I'm sorry that it was kind of sporadic. It's the first time recording in really almost a month, dude. And it was just right on the spot decision, honestly. We're just chilling outside, and I just got done medicating. And I was like, you know what? Let's just do it off the top. But at any rate, I think we can all agree that the only way that we're going to be able to combat this is through the pen, through the legal process, because that's the way they fight. They fight through the rich bankers, the rich elite, the bankers, and it is a big club that we ain't in it, like George Carlin said. I'm sorry to tell you, I'm sorry to break it to you. If you think that you are, you ain't. You could be a famous ass celebrity and still ain't in it. The club I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And they operate by money, word of mouth, and the pen. and they hate their stories broken out. You know what I mean? So the only way you can combat those kind of people, am I right or wrong, is on the same way they are, with the same methods. They want to use the media, we got to use the media. They want to use the pen, we got to use the pen. They want to use celebrities, we got to find what, maybe the 5 or 6 we got.
Maybe 2.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Maybe there's 5 or 6.
Right, we got to use the handful that we got. I mean, we got to fight the way that, what I'm getting at is we got to fight the way they're getting at. People have to get off the streets and realize that you're being played like chess. I mean, do you agree with me that people are getting played like chess that live in lower income areas against each other?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I actually picture it like this. The news is playing, right? Here's the Los Angeles mayor. He's in this nice, rich, comfortable house. He's chilling. You know, probably got his legal cannabis there. Probably top-notch VIP stuff. Nobody can ever get their hands on, you know. Cartel stuff. Anyway, so he's sitting here. He's like, I wonder what my lower, what's that old medieval word for lower people? Do you remember? I can't remember it, but there's a word for it. But anyways, my peasants. Let's go with that. So he's just like, let me see what my peasants are up to. So is Pelosi. They're all on the phone together. Let's see what our peasants are up to. Let's see if they're buying all this crap we're selling, you know? Let's see if it worked. We got all our celebrity friends to do it too. So let's see if it works. So they're all in their mansions, right? LeBron James, he's just sitting there in his mansion. Let's see if my tweet worked. Let's see if all this worked. And they get to eat their nice, expensive food, their $1 million investments, everything, right? And they turn on the news and they're like dance puppets as they see the rioting. And where is it? It's not on their street. If you're in California, Rayleigh's is a high-end supermarket. You know what I mean? It's not over in that neighborhood. No, it's over in DPH. You know what I'm saying? In Del Paso Heights, over in the lower, you know what I'm saying, at the Food Save Mart. At the Dollar Tree getting rioted. There was that Dollar Tree that got rioted. You know what I'm saying?
How much of a law?
How's it y'all rioting a Dollar Tree? What I could have figured out is why nobody, you know, and there was a handful of them that did in Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? But that was really rich kids when it came out to it. That was a handful of them, you know? So rich kids stealing rich shit. But, go figure. Anyways, why was it that all the rioting happened in the projects in the lower income neighborhoods? It never happened in like Hollywood elite. When it came close to Hollywood, they shut that ass down. I'm saying, like, I'm talking, man, it came right to the edge of where, like, the couple Hollywood people might actually be at. And I'm talking, I ain't never seen a state person put that many cops there that quick. Why is that? You get in there in the neck of the woods in. Talking? No? I'll talk to you about it in a minute. All right. But that's what I wanted to paint out for you guys real quick. I'm about to go, but I wanted to paint that out for you real quick. That's what it's actually about. Is money and separation and division. They want to bring down everybody because they know if they could bring everybody down and separate us and make us hate each other, it's starting to pour. I'm going to end this real quick. Then we can't win. But if we come together, that's the one thing that they're going to hate, is if we all unify and actually come together. But anyways, this has been Mike. And Jeff from New York. And peace, love, and good vibes. I'm out. As y'all can see, it's actually pouring down around here. So it's starting to storm. So everybody have a good night.